And welcome back. Welcome to Mystery Upgrade. Now this is a upgrade we're going to be doing to this truck that not even the new owner, at least as of yet, knows that we're going to do. Obviously when they see this video they'll know, but until then. One thing that comes apparent when you own a truck, any truck, especially one with 33-inch tires on it, is that you might need a little bit of vertical assistance. It would be one way to put it. And by that I mean side steps or runner boards, however you want to call it. We're going to be installing a set of side steps onto this truck to ease the transition of stepping in or stepping out of said vehicle. So with that being said, we're going to get started. And the kit that we got is a no-drill kit that's supposed to line up with all the factory mount points, of which you see one of the factory mount points here. Now, the nice thing about the kit is a lot of the pictures online assumed that not only did you already have the holes in the frame, which you see here, that it also had the factory inserts already installed with the little nuts in the inside that you could just thread into. Well, as you can see, this model of Ram doesn't have the insert, but the kit they provided accounts for that. So they give you some stuff that you can use to aid with putting all the bolts in, and some really kind of cool stuff to keep the bolts from turning and holds it in place while you bolt it. Well, rather than do that, and we're going to upgrade the kit a little bit. If you remember the Riv gun that we had from an earlier video, went out and got some of these. Now these are stainless steel Riv nuts. This is an M10, and you'll see the M10 fits inside. Let me get you some light. Fits inside of the factory hole perfectly. I mean, that's a nice little fit there. So we should be able to expand out the Riv nuts and just use these in lieu of the ones that come with the kit. So that's what we're going to attempt to do. We've also went out and got stainless steel mounting bolts to thread into here. Again, not that there's anything wrong with the stuff they sent in the kit, but since this is going to be exposed to the elements a lot, just trying to use hardware to lessen the amount of rust that's going to form, which is why we're using the stainless steel hardware. So what I'm going to do first is just try to use the Riv tool. Hopefully I got enough reach in here between here and this frame rail to get the Riv tool in here, just to see if I can get these expanded out. If I can't use these and we have to use the hardware that came with the kit, then so be it. But I'm going to see if I can get these to expand out, and then I'll bring you back. One moment. Well, unfortunately, it was a good plan. There isn't enough distance between this frame rail and the frame rail of the truck to get the tool in here to expand these. You could do it. There's a method of other items where you could put like a couple flat washers on here and a bearing and counter tighten the bolts together to get this to expand out, which would work in a limited space like this. But since the kit that we ordered comes with provisions to be able to do this without the inserts being in here, we're going to give the kit a try and kind of see what it looks like. So with that being said, I'm going to go grab their bag of hardware, and we'll give it a shot, and I'll bring you back. Thank you much. And welcome back. So like we said, unfortunately we can't use our Riv nut inserts. We're going to have to use the hardware that came with the kit, but we did the driver's side already. It's not tightened, but it's in there loose, but just to kind of get an idea and understand what they were wanting us to do. And what we're making up here, each one, and there's 3 brackets on each side. So on the passenger side, the driver's side, the first bracket was a little different. Everything else, the other 2, the middle and the rear brackets, as well as all 3 brackets on the passenger side, get set up this same way. So what they're having you do is, we need what they call an M8 block. What exactly did they call this? I forget again. Bolt plate. I'm sorry. This is an M8 bolt plate and an M10 bolt plate for each one. And then for the M8s, we need the 2 M8 washers that go along with it, 2 M8 lock washers that go along with it, and this plastic washer. You'll see what that's for in a second. Then we need an M10 bolt plate its plastic washer, its normal washer, its split washer, and its bolt. So this is kind of the setup, the hardware setup that you need to at least put the brackets on for all three sides. So let me get you underneath and kind of show you what they got you doing. It's actually pretty slick what they came up with to get around getting these bolts inside the frame rail. Let me bring back one moment. Okay, welcome back. Got you on tripod, got you underneath. So this is the first bracket on the passenger side, forward one. So this is what they got you doing. So this is an M8 bolt plate, or at least this is the way I figured out, kind of understood their instructions to be. So you got two holes here and you got the oblong one here. You're taking one of these bolts and you're only threading it in enough on that side to kind of use this bolt as a handle. And we're going to put it into the oblong hole on top, drop it in all the way, pick it back up, and then again using that top bolt as a handle, this is what we're going to end up with. You can either come out of this side with this stud or come out of that side with the stud. Either way, doesn't matter. Then we're going to take that plastic washer that you saw earlier and push it down over that stud in that bracket. Now what that's going to do is that's going to hold this in place so it doesn't fall inside the frame rail. Because if it falls inside that frame rail, yes, it's going to lead for a very bad day. Now, what I like to do, just to be on the safe side, is go ahead and grab this stud and hold on to it, and then you can unthread your temporary bolt on top and then swing this down until that bolt hole now matches up. Now, I'm just going to swing it down all the way and just kind of rest it there. And then we're going to take our M10 piece and take its plastic washer, go ahead and thread it on, or push it on a little bit. There we go, something like that. And then we could take this piece, also put it through our oblong hole, and then rotate it. So it's kind of something like this. Hold on to the stud and then push down on that plastic washer at the same time. But you just want to make sure that you don't push this piece into the frame rail. So what you end up with is that you've got your plastic washers holding this bottom one and this top bracket in place, and it's keeping them from falling backwards. Now we take their rail, their running board mount, just gingerly place it over, and then we can start taking the rest of our hardware. So on this stud we want our washer, our flat washer, and then our lock washer, and then finally our M8 bolt. And once we get that on a couple of threads, we've got it pretty well secure at that point. And then for the big M10, we do the same thing. We take our big flat washer, our big lock washer, our M10 lock washer, and our M10 bolt. And again, just looking to get this on there, a couple of threads to secure it. It's gonna it's gonna flop around a little bit, and that's fine. There we go. So we're on there a couple of threads. We got it. So it's not gonna fall back into the rail. Now, what we do is we just want to swing that guy out of the way for now. Take your bolt on this side and rotate it until you see that nut line up where we need it, and then we can prep our bolt. So we want our flat washer on our we want our lock washer on our bolt first, and then our flat washer. So we end up with that. So lock washer and then flat washer, and then we can thread. See, it's kind of a little bit of a juggling act because you're going to have to turn this one at the same time in order to get it to line up. And once you get it to line up, thread it in a couple of threads. And don't tighten all the hardware up just yet, because you still need to put the running board on and kind of size it up and, you know, shift it left or right, kind of get it to where you need it to be. And what I'm doing, I'm just getting this top one to lay a little bit flatter. There we go. Oh, that's what happened. Okay, it slipped out of the side if you saw that there. So what I want to do is just, now that that's laying flat, just put a couple of turns in it just to kind of lock it into where it's at. And now that bracket is in there and loose. Like I said, it's a little bit cumbersome. It's not too bad. Like I said, it's a pretty slick little setup they came up with to kind of lock all that in place. So there you go. So now we have 3 points of contact in with the frame rail. And again, this is for the types of setups in which we didn't have those pre-installed nuts on the inside of the, basically the riv nuts from the factory weren't in this one. So we're basically going to do this same process on the next 2 frame rail openings here on the passenger side. Now you may have to, like on this one, just take a piece of this covering tape that's still on here from the factory and just pull it off, and there you go. So I'm going to do this for the next 2 and we'll bring you back. Thank you much. And welcome back. So you can see we got all 3 of our brackets on, loosely hung. I mean, they're not tight, but we're just getting our running board squared away. And what they're having you do is take 6 of these square-headed bolts and slide them into these channels. And then what we're going to do next is then just, and these boards are made out of aluminum. They're fairly light, which is kind of nice. And what we're going to do is take those bolts and get them inserted into the slots on the brackets. You can see there, there, and there. We're going to do that for all 3, and then once we get all 3 in it, we can we got a little bit of leadway. We can push the running board forward and back in relation to the doors above it, and finally just start cinching down the hardware. So let me get the rest of these in place. We're going to start getting the bolts, and they just bolt from underneath. They give you additional washers, and they give you these nylon inserted kind of locking nuts that go underneath and bolt the running board to the bracket. So I'm going to go ahead and take care, we're going to go ahead and take care of this, and I'll bring you back. One moment. So you can see we got our running board on here again. Everything's loose, and what they want you to do is kind of put a level on here and get it about as level as we can. Now the ground itself isn't level, but that's pretty darn close to being on the money where it's at. So what I'm going to do is just lock in the brackets, and that will lock in the up down. And then once we get the main mounting brackets locked in, then we can kind of, because these are still loose, shift the running boards in towards the truck, pull them out, and they can also shift forward and back as well. So we're going to go ahead and get these mounting brackets locked in, and we'll bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. So what we're doing to now that we've got our up down adjustment, we've got our body brackets locked in. You can go inward with these. You got a slight bit of adjustment to be able to come out like that, go in like that, so you can see that, and then you can go left and right just because everything's kind of on a slide. So what I like to do, it's just my preference, is to pull them out as far as I can get them, so there you got enough, so that way you got more distance between the body and where you're going to step. But as far as left and right, what we ended up doing on the driver's side was just kind of measuring from the end of the bracket out to the end of the rail to see how far we were, and just kind of getting it even that way. So we're going to do the same thing on this one, and then we're going to go ahead and tighten all of our lower hardware, which will secure our running boards to our brackets, and then I'll bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. So we got our boards tightened to our main support brackets. And as you can see, I can step up in here, sorry, just fine. It's got a little bit of flex to it, the brackets do, but it's not horrible. Even the factory ones that come on the 2500 there, when you step on them, they've got a little bit of give. Now I will say, to be fair, you can kind of see the brackets on on a factory rail. And now that's covered in plastic, so don't let that deceive you. It looks like it's this wide, but it's actually just a plastic cover. I mean, they are a bit beefier, but not as much flex. But for the price point, like I said, these aren't bad. They'll get the job done. They're just there so that you can do that, and you can comfortably step up in it. Like I said, it supports my weight fine. So like I said, the kit in and of itself, it was a cool way they figured out to get around either being able to have the factory threaded inserts or not. If I were to say anything, that they could have probably taken the excess flex out by just maybe putting a piece of angle here, just to kind of give this a bit more rigidity, like maybe come from here to maybe right about here, like somewhere like right about there, and just put like a gusset there or something to give it a bit more strength. And then, like I said, other than that, I'm not trying to be picky. I just, if I were to say one thing about it, I would have to say that, yeah, just put a little piece of angle there to help strengthen that bracket, and I think it'd be solid. But like I said, it's flexing a little bit, but nothing huge, nothing to be concerned about. It'll get the job done. It'll allow those who are, how should I say, vertically challenged a much easier time to step up into this truck. And one final piece. You may be asking yourself the question, and if you didn't, maybe you were just wondering. The vehicle itself. Now, obviously, again, you move the seat forward, up, down, left, right, completely powered seat. Now, this is the first Ram I've seen be able to do this, which I thought was cool. Now, it's getting kind of dark. We're losing our light. Got a little button here on the side of the steering wheel. And the button is the picture of a foot hitting a pedal. Watch this. See, that's all the way up. And I don't know if you can see that, but you can move the gas and the brake pedal further up or further down to suit your leg height. In other words, if you need them to come up a little bit further based on where you put your seat in relation to where the bottom of your feet are at, you got a little adjustment there too. So hopefully with that, and with the addition of now having some running boards on here, that you know, if you need a little bit of extra assistance climbing up inside this beast, then now you got it. But with that being said, again, I'm going to let you go. I'll put a link in the description to this particular kit, because like I said, I thought it was I thought it was pretty cool. For the money, it's like I said, it's a good little solution with how they figured out whether or not you have the factory inserts or you don't. But with that being said, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Again, trying to grow the channel. We're eking ever closer to being able to finally monetize the channel. We're missing watch hours at this point. We're just on the cusp of needing that, almost at that 4,000 hours of watch time needed. And not that monetization is going to bring a large amount of money to the channel, because it takes, you know, millions and millions of views on viral videos and such to make a substantial amount of money. But anything that we can get to get revenue coming into the channel, again, helps these projects along. It helps us to do more things such as this. But with that being said, I will let you go, and I'll bring you back for the next one. Thank you much. Bye. Figured I'd give you some far away shots of what they look like, just real quick. Like I said, they look pretty good. 6-inch wide boards, in case you're wondering, but the link will be in the description. Awesome. Okay, that's it. Talk to you in the next one. Bye.